With a 2-year wait behind them, it's fair to say that Netflix subscribers were more than ready for Stranger Things to return to the streaming service this year with Season 4. In its first weekend, it rocketed to the top spot of the most watched English language seasons that the platform has ever produced, second overall only to Korean thriller Squid Game. Unless you've been living under a rock, it's been hard to miss the excitement that Season 4 of Stranger Things has generated, whether that's Spotify-curated Vecna escape playlists, the Chrissy Wake Up TikTok meme, or the general social media discourse on who lives and who dies. Introducing us to what viewers have to assume is the show's true big bad, Season 4's dense package gave us an incredible thrill ride in its own right, as well as plenty of answers to hanging story threads. Fans now know the true story of the Hawkins laboratory massacre that led to Eleven's escape in the pilot episode, and even a little more about how the Upside Down came to be. That being said, there are still a lot of questions that need to be answered about the state of Stranger Things' world and its inhabitants moving forward. Thankfully, the Duffer Brothers may have left the answers out in the open for all of us to see, providing you know what you're looking at. I'm Cypher What Culture, and Stranger Things has already told us how Season 5 will end. Targeted by the Upside Down's mastermind as the perfect victim due to her past trauma, Max plays a huge role in unwrapping the enigma of Vecna and a way to stop him, not to mention she holds the key to getting Kate Bush back into the charts. In the finale's elongated epilogue, Max lies unresponsive in a coma. Lucas tends to her bedside, reading from a copy of the Stephen King and Peter Straub collaborative novel, The Talisman. The general audience probably didn't recognise the significance of this choice, and why would you? It's hardly the most famous book for either author. It's when you dive into the story of The Talisman that some really interesting similarities can be drawn. 12-year-old Jack Sawyer journeys across America to find a crystal called the Talisman that will save his mother, who is dying from cancer. On this journey, he discovers a parallel world, a similar but twisted version of America, which over the course of the novel bleeds into his own. When Jack finally gets his hands on the Talisman, a great earthquake rips through the world. However, in the finale, he returns to his mother and cures her of her ailment. It seems in no way possible that Matt and Ross Duffer gave Lucas that book without thinking about the implications. The final season may well see Lucas's journey to find something to bring Max out of that coma. After all, they still haven't had that movie date. Of course, it needs to be mentioned that the Duffer Brothers are currently signed on to adapt The Talisman for Netflix, and this could just be a cute nod to their future, but the possibilities are striking. Thinking about it coldly and logically, Max's story could have well concluded with Season 4, as Vecna killed her to complete his ritual and open all 4 gates. In fact, she died on screen for a full minute, according to Lucas. Keeping Max alive at the end of Season 4 was definitely done on purpose, as seeing the character off for shock value could have added a new weight to the show's stakes moving forward, so it's likely that Max has been kept alive for a reason. One of the unanswered questions moving into the show's final volume is foreshadowed by Eleven using her ability to search for Max's consciousness in the void and finding nothing. One last point on the Talisman is that every human has an equivalent in the alternate territories universe, and consciousnesses can shift between worlds by taking control of the body of your twinner, unless of course one of the pair gets killed and becomes single-natured. When Henry Creel confronts Eleven in the Hawkins lab, he tries to calm her by saying those who he's killed aren't gone, and they are still with him in his mind. If this is true, then Max must have joined them. And this is why Eleven can't find Max, because her body and her soul have been separated. But if she can keep her friend's heart pumping, who's to say she can't reunite it with her spirit, which perhaps is hiding inside Vecna's mind. Whilst we saw a really early look at the Upside Down in Season 4, with Henry Creel falling into this untouched world, its true origins remain a mystery. In all likelihood, this alternative world probably existed long before Eleven opened the first gate and sent Vecna tumbling inside, although we can't know that for sure. But the truly mysterious part is, how did it become to be the dark and haunted version of Hawkins? One key point that was nestled into the show recently as a seed for the final season was Nancy discovering her diary whilst in the Upside Down. She remarks that its most recent entry was the same day that Will had gone missing into the parallel world 4 years prior. This means a few key things. Firstly, the Upside Down is not a consistent mirror of the real world's time. Secondly, the version that we know either came into being on that day or time froze at that exact moment. If that's the case, Will is connected even more deeply to that world. If his mind created it or affected it, perhaps he has some measure of control over it. Is Will about to discover his own power? And if the Upside Down persists in a time before Vecna ripped Hawkins asunder, is it the answer to undoing his victory in Season 4? Stranger Things has never been one to shy away from foreshadowing its future story arcs, most often done via the narrative device of Dungeons & Dragons. Heck, take the Season 4 opener. The Hellfire Club rallies to conclude their longest and toughest campaign. As the party gets decimated by Vecna, Dungeon Master Eddie says to the group that there is no shame in running and that they don't need to play the hero, lines that will heavily outline his character arc for the rest of the season. Here's where it gets interesting though. Dustin and Erica each roll for their final hits against the end boss, the first of which misses. What number does Dustin roll? 11. And how does Season 4 end? 11 rises to face Vecna, wounds him, but ultimately loses. 11 was not enough to succeed in the D&D game, and implying that, in the end, 11 alone cannot beat their foe. In the finale, Will describes Vecna as hurting but still alive. 11 using all of her powers may not be enough to put him down. Only a natural 20, a perfect lucky hit, will suffice. Ultimately, fans know very few hard facts about Season 5 of Stranger Things as it's far too early. It might not be until 2024 until we all get our answers. At least that gives us plenty of time for speculating, theorising, and mourning the loss of Eddie Munson. Rest in power, you absolute king. And that's the video. Let us know what you thought of this down in the comments below, and what you thought of Season 4 of Stranger Things, and any theories that you might have moving forward into the final season. Make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I've been Cy for What Culture, and have a good week.